Hello and welcome back to Assetto Corsa. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and today we are going to be continuing along with the bonus pack 3 reviews, taking a look at the Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. Now, first thing I am going to say about this car is, before I even go on to the specifications and what it's like in Assetto Corsa, as I get my head tracking set up, you'll hear a ding in a minute, don't worry about that, is that this car is fantastic. It's just outright fantastic. Brilliant machine, and I genuinely felt within my first few corners of driving this car, I felt like it was the best car of the bonus pack. That's just how I felt immediately. It was that good, and this is obviously my first time driving it. As I normally do on my videos, it's always the first time driving it. Only on rare occasion it hasn't been the absolute first time, but every time you see one of these reviews, it is my first time. This was my first time. It only took me till the actual first corner of the start-finish straight on the normal Nurburgring Nordschleife layout. That's I don't know what the name of the corner is, but you know, straight after the pits, that corner, that's all it took me until to realize how great this car is. But let's get into the specs. So this car was built between 1967 and 1969. Only 18 of these cars were built, and they were built obviously in Italy, such as Alfa Romeo, designed by Franco Scaglione, I believe is who designed it, and it features a 90-degree V8 engine, mid-engine of course, longitudinally mounted. It's 2 liters, a light alloy block and head, so it's not a very heavy engine, 2 valves per cylinder, dual overhead cam, naturally aspirated, no turbochargers on this at all, twin spark, produced 230 bhp at 8,800 rpm and 200 newton meters of torque, or 148 foot-pounds of torque at 7,000 rpm. Really, that's not a lot. If you think about it, compared to modern day standards, compared to what we see today, that isn't a lot. I mean, that's 115 bhp per litre. Not all too much, really. If you compare it to, for example, the latest in, I don't know, BMW M2s or something. What do they produce? They produce something like 360, is it 360 brake horsepower or something in a BMW M2 of a 3-litre engine. So that's still slightly more than this was producing, and this is a road-going version of a race car. This is obviously the, I think it's the Tipo 33, or the 33 Tipo. This is the road-going version of it, so it's a supercar. Aluminium body, steel tubular chassis, which is taken directly from the race car. In fact, a lot of this car was taken from the race car. So you're going to see a lot of race car styling in it, as you can see from the replay boxes. A lot of race car styling, a lot of race car style gauges. The brakes are ventilated discs all around. It's got a 6-speed manual gearbox. It's rear wheel drive, so that just makes it absolutely fantastic. So all that power is going to the rear wheels. 6 gears is something that was rare in the 1960s, I believe, so to have a 6-gear car was really good. I was kind of surprised. A couple of times I had to go into 6th just to make sure, is it actually going to 6th? And then I had to double check to make sure that wasn't a bug, because I was like, this is a late 1960s car. I didn't think they even had the concept of adding a 6th gear in some of these, but I suppose if it's off a race car, that would explain it. Now, even though it only has 230 brake horsepower, it only weighs 572 kilograms. That's 1,200 pounds, or 1,261 pounds. That's ridiculously light. That is so light. So now you've got 230 brake horsepower, 572 kilograms. That means per ton, this thing is producing, I'd say about 410 brake horsepower per ton. That is not bad at all. And the length of the car was 3,970 mil, so 156 inches. The width of the car was what was it, 1,700 or somewhere around that, so about 67-ish inches. And it was a very low car as well, only about a meter up, not even a meter up. But the wheelbase is quite interesting, because the wheelbase on the car was 2350 on the front, and I think it was and the track on it was, sorry, the wheelbase was 2350 and the track on the front was 1350 and 1445 on the back, which means that in terms of the width of the car and then looking at the track and the wheelbase, this car would have been fairly agile because it's got the distances aren't too far, and generally the squarer a wheelbase to the track, then the more agile the car tends to be. It's just the nature of the dynamics of a car like that. But anyway, going on from that, the last things I suppose I have to mention is top speed of 174 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. So that's all the information about this car. Now, the thing is that now going into Assetto Corsa and what it's like in Assetto Corsa, first of all, the modelling is fantastic, as you always get. The texturing is great in Assetto Corsa as well. I love the dials, the old school dials inside. I love how it looks very old school. The inside, the materials look old. Everything just looks really good about this car. They've really done well at Assetto Corsa have here, or Kunos have here, to make this car in such a fashion. I really do like it. But really, it wasn't the modelling and the texturing that got me on this car. It was how the car sounded and how the car drove. For the first time, I could possibly say, because I always think that Kunos always excel on modelling, and then they generally are pretty good on physics, and then textures, they're almost perfect most of the time. Sometimes they go a little bit wrong, and the sounds are where they lack the most. I think this is the first time I could say that a car sounds better than it has been textured and modelled, and I think it drives better than the modelling and the texturing. I would say that in terms of quality, the physics are at the top, followed by the sounds, followed by the model, followed by the texturing. And that's not to say that the modelling and texturing is off par or subpar. It isn't. It's just that the physics and the sounds are incredible. I mean, just listen to that 2-litre engine sing. That's incredible, both inside and out. It sounds absolutely 100% brilliant. I absolutely loved how it sounded. There's no deadening in the cabin. Everything sounds, it just sounds right. It really does sound right as I go into the carousel. And not only did it sound right, not only were all the sounds sounding very classic, very old, very 1960s and 70s, you know, they sounded mechanical. Everything sounded really mechanical. You could hear brake squeal, you could hear suspension rattle, you could hear chassis or the actual space frame, or I suppose the frame of the car, the bodywork rattling and squeaking around. The backfire just there, you heard that just sounds incredible, both inside and out, really great. But then the physics of this car, I have not driven an old car that is quite so much fun to drive. That includes the GT40. I found this car more fun to drive than a GT40. I don't think it's nowhere near as fast as a GT40. I think a GT40 would have this, but this car just felt so wonderful to drive. It rode the curbs well, it rode the track well, it handled the bumps well. When you took it into a corner, yes, you have to treat this car with respect, a lot of respect, but the car was such a wonderful drive. I think that the passion that you get from Italian companies that they put into their cars, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Lamborghini, whatever they are, not Seat, you know, they are Seat are Spanish, aren't they? It was something else, and sometimes you don't get that feeling. You don't get that feeling in a simulator as I miss a gear. This one, you got that feeling. It's sort of the feeling that you get when you're driving an F40. You know the hard work, the effort that went into making that car as it is. You can see the effort and feel the effort that went into making this car. It is absolutely 100% brilliant. I have not driven a car quite so, right, aside from maybe the F40, I suppose, I have not driven an old car quite so special. I really haven't. The F40 would be the exception, but no other car comes quite as close to this. The GT40 is amazing, don't get me wrong, but this just feels so flamboyant. This one feels so alive. The GT40 felt, yes, it felt alive, but it felt very, it's out there to do a job. This one feels like it's not out there to do a job. This one feels like it's out there to have fun and let people enjoy the car more than going around setting a really fast lap time around a track like this. Obviously the race version of this car is what that's for. The whole idea of the race version, the Tipo 33, is the whole setting the lap times. This though is just about having pure out fun, and it was absolutely incredible. I am giving this car hands down, straight out, a 10 out of 10. It really is a 10 out of 10. I think they have modeled, textured, and got the sound right, and the physics. It's absolute perfection. Top car. Thoroughly enjoyed driving it. Probably more than any other car in this pack that I've driven so far. I've still got a couple of cars to go, of course, but I think this car is one that I enjoyed more than any other car I've driven so far in the pack. That's more than the Lamborghinis. That's more than the other Alfa Romeo. What was the other Alfa Romeo? The Giulia. More than the Giulia. I'm going to see what it's like. I think is there a Maserati in this pack or something? I can't remember. I'm going to have a look at that, see what that's like. But I have a feeling that there isn't going to be a car that comes quite as close to this for this pack anyway. And perhaps I think this is one of the top cars in Assetto Corsa outright. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa, leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of this car. If you're watching this on Twitch, thumbs up and a follow please, and please don't forget to support me on Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. I would massively appreciate your support. It would help me out a huge amount, and you will get access to my Discord channel regardless of what you donate. So if you want to join the community, please go ahead and do so. Thank you very much for watching once again as I look around at this wonderful interior, and great views, by the way, out of it as well. That's one thing I didn't mention. Great views, and I will see you guys next time in Assetto Corsa.